you're gonna get to see me do production, which is great. And try and get into a game. So, that's going to be super difficult. I think probably just, did ArT start? ArT didn't start. I mean, maybe I'll just do ArT versus Cass. He's Grandmaster. That wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be terrible. So increase the volume. Because the other one would have been Xanster versus Rail or Hino. Lomo's still stuck waiting for either Yogo or Cup. I don't know what that is. Well, let's take Rifkin's image off here. There we go. Okay, and hopefully the stream's gonna be working soon. But let's do production together. Let's see here, image. Yeah, that's the image. Change this. That might be the right thing to do. Hold on a second. You got invite, you got add a game, webcam overlay. Well, that's one of the things, right? QuickTime player? No, DLC media. Ah, I see. It's multiple little. Oh, that's gonna be great. That'll be great. Oh boy. Wow, these cameras are really big. No one told me this. But what's fun is that you keep on adding things to it, you know? You gotta add on the video, loop it, make it the right size. Oh, it'll look really dumb. And then drag and drop. And then move it to the bottom. Isn't this fun? It's fun. I guess I'm supposed to go down there. Boop, 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 boop. This is the amazing stuff you guys miss. Where the hell are the... Okay, there we go. I don't know how it's set up, to be honest. Does zombie web equal brains? Yeah, that's true. So I asked for Cass to invite me versus ArT, but he didn't respond, so who knows. Caster A, Take TV is also looking for a game. But I guess we're into a bit of a lull here. Ow, cat, no, stop. Ow, that hurts. Excuse you. What are the other things in this package? Intermission, intro, ending. Hold on. Intermission. Ah, cat. Fancy. Notifications? Oh my god, I'll deal with that later. I also don't have Twitch alerts connected to BaseTradeTV, so that wouldn't have worked. Oh, Zigling had to leave. Apparently Namshar was in a 3-hour-long mech game? Is that really what happened? No. Where was Zigling? Oh, okay, so Xanser just got advanced. Oh, that already happened. Never mind. I guess you're talking about the losers bracket. I guess he's gone. He outie. No other games are starting yet. The little black line on the left? Oh, of my webcam. Whoopsie, that was the wrong thing. My cam? A tiny little bit bigger. Okay, here we go. And I can move Rifkin down to here. But it won't show up on stream. Oh, damn. Wait, did that change the proportions? Whatever. So ArT is here. Cass has been at AFK for at least 5 minutes. Yeah, he only just recently went away. So I guess they can start the walkover timer if they wanted, but alright, TateTV wrote him on Skype, so hopefully he'll come back and pay attention. Are you waiting for something? Yeah, it's called waiting for a game. And watching me do, you know, stuff. And things. Stuff and things. Add image, I think. In-game. And banner without casters. Ew, I'm gonna have to fix that when we get back into the thingamajigger. Nope, move down. Move down. Aww, okay, that was kind of close. I bet you I could fix that in Photoshop. We need to see that mech game. God, no. If the game goes for longer than an hour, it's usually not the most hype game in the world. It's usually really boring, actually. Son of a... okay, Cass. Cass responded. He told me to go, which I don't know what that means because I wasn't given any maps or anything. Okay. Take once into the game I'm waiting for as well. Holy shit, that worked out so perfectly on my first try. I'm amazing. Now casting ZG Creative, designing UI, something like that. You'll probably go into the VODs and get it exactly right. There's nothing else I'm gonna do, I suppose, except wait for Cass to give me an invite. Oh my god, Cass, if you don't give me an invite, I swear to god. Okay, I'm gonna join off of someone and see if this works. Okay, thank god. Alright, we're into a game, so now we're just waiting for the players to start. Hold on. Sorry, kitty. How do you get all these professionals to play in these leagues that you create? I mean, basically you just make something with a decent prize pool, ideally, and then put it on Team Liquid. If you think you're not getting a lot of signups, you could just go ahead and message the players, if you can, like on Twitter or something like that, and then hope that they join. And it's not really that difficult. Signups sometimes are disappointing, like depending on the certain regions, but yeah. Okay, I see what we did here for the out of game overlay. So add video. And it's easier just to add video like this. That way. This is horizontal. Nailed it. Whoop, that's huge. Oh my god. Sponsor sellout time. Whoop. And I can get rid of all of this, actually. I can just delete it. You're gone. Nice. Yeah, we're almost ready to go. They just asked if the cast is ready. So it's going to be a TVP. For those of you who don't know ArT, he's a Protoss player. I don't really know a lot about him, to be honest. I just know that he is actually in a lot of brackets. We just figured around really casting him. He's a GM player, so he's pretty good. The cost is also pretty good. Oh, I see what he did. Okay, yeah, I could have done that. Damn it. They're still discussing delay in the lobby, so I'm going to take this time to try and really quickly Photoshop something. Oh no, I did bad. Shit. Hold on. Save it. It really sucks because it's white, so it's kind of hard to read on Photoshop with a transparent background. But I'm doing it. Hold on. Ah, no, it's going. Hold on. I'm so close to fixing it. I did it! I did it! Oh, that's not aligned right. Ooh, are you kidding me? No, stop it right now, Obs. Let's do that thing where it snaps. Turn off snapping. Turn off snapping. Kill me. Oh, okay, you know what? That's close enough. That's what I'm gonna say. And now we're ready to go. Downtime is over. Fixing the stream is over. Everything's working fine. You were watching the Home Story Cup qualifiers, EU qualifiers. Number 2, we had 3 Zergs qualify yesterday, apparently. I didn't actually see who qualified. I just heard it was all Zergs. So hopefully we can get some different races today. Now we're casting a PvT. And in the top left on Frozen Temple for game number 1, it is the Protoss player, ArT. In the bottom right, as the Red Terran, he is Cascades. Cass. I need to go kick my cat out. Literally eating a trash bag. Because he wants attention. And I also know that usually the game sounds are a little low, so I'm going to boost them up, and you tell me if they get too loud. So that's the way it's going to go. But obviously, ArT starting off very cheesy here. We got a pylon already going down. That is pretty quick. A lot of Terran players will not be scouting with an SCV. Some do. It's not like totally out of the question. It's just that if you're going to get a Reaper, you kind of feel like maybe there isn't much purpose to doing it. Unless they proxy something. So unfortunately, this is that case where they are proxying. The Reaper is already on the way out. It'll get to the main base. It'll see a suspicious lack of Nexus, basically, and be like, wait a second. But then it's got to actually search for the Stargate. Because this could be a Stargate, or it could be a Robo. That has kind of been coming back into popularity. Although I think this proxy Stargate is still by far the most popular one. So we saw the probe go down to get a Nexus, and that's already like, that's too late. Alright, most Protosses go for Gateway Expand in the first place. So add on, of course, the fact that it was actually a Stargate before a Nexus, and the timing's just too off. And Cass should know that, but again, like the question is, what is exactly proxied? And Cass is just gonna go ahead and say that it's a Stargate, which he does scout and confirm, so it's a good thing he got the engineering bay. Gonna place down a turret, and things should be fine for Cass. Absolutely fine. If the Oracle does anything more than 4 SCV kills, somehow a Terran player screwed up. Probe is actually left alive off to the right here, which is a little important because if we have a follow-up of like even like mild harassment or of a dark shrine, for instance, like just cheese on top of cheese, Cass might think he can deal with the proxy pylon, this one, but it's actually like, you know, there's actually another one. It'll be slow warpings, of course, but still annoying. Oracle obviously not finding much to do. Just has to leave. This Reaper is still alive and will be scouting further to see what the follow-up is. It's, I would even say highly likely that the Protoss just macros behind a proxy Stargate, gets a Nexus obviously, but then gets a third Nexus even because their Stargate, their Oracle's gonna give them a lot of scouting information and even a bit of, I would say, safety. Oracles aren't very powerful. They don't stop a push from coming in, but they do scout the medevac timing. They can put Revelation on the medevacs. It's, you know, if they're going to drop or push. And they can scare the Terran sometimes from moving out. Missile turrets should cover you, but, you know, sometimes killing the production or, you know, getting a couple of SCVs buildings, that's always annoying to deal with. So even then, you saw Cass kind of like thinking about maybe not moving out, but just making sure adepts don't come up here, has to pull back and deal with the Oracle because it's just so annoying. This is going to be a gateway, I believe. Yeah, it is. So I said proxy, you know, Dark Templar, or, you know, something, you know, follow-up being really, really cheesy. A follow-up gateway attack is also totally viable and, you know, still pretty, cheesy is the right word, but it's, you know, it's very Protoss. Let's just admit it. So it's going to be 5 gateways total, which is kind of that middle of the road all-in, but consider that, of course, the Stargate opener happened, didn't really work out, and it still is going to keep you on a lower probe count without the extra 2 gases. It's a big deal, even if it is only 5 gateways as opposed to, like, 7 or 8. And Cass is not expecting it. The Reaper finally died at some point, so it didn't really get a nice follow-up. Twilight Council would have been expected. It's the 3rd base. You would have wanted that scouting. And Resident Glaves is done, man. He's already on his way to Blink. Kind of baiting out the Marines here, so if there was a bunker, they wouldn't be in it. And that is, it's all Marines. And these guys don't have stim. They don't have combat shields. He picks up, but he needs to get a wall down. Okay, thank God the bunker goes down. But that is instantly killed. He didn't... Okay, that's a pretty big mistake. I think Cass definitely should have dropped behind the supply depot. That Waterman doesn't even get that great of a hit. And it's Marines against Adepts right here. Oracle's swooping as well. They should probably just take on the Marines. Yep. And this cheese, followed up by an all-in, might just work out here for the Protoss player. One Oracle died, the other one's out of energy, but while this, it's not slow warp-ins, that's right. So this is quick warp-ins, and it's proxied, and these Adepts are coming in real quick, even without a Warp Prism. You know, the one benefit to having a Warp Prism is that you can attack both main and natural without them necessarily knowing which one you're going for, but even Cass knowing where the army is coming from is not helping him. He just lost too much early on. GG. And that'll be ArT taking game number 1. This is a best of 3, and this is in the winners brackets. I think they're in the round of 8s, I want to say. Yes, they are. So if anyone goes down, they have the losers bracket. Unfortunately, the losers bracket is going to add on, God, I don't even know, like a good 50%, you know, your time in this tournament. Because it's not just that you go down and you have to, like, wait for your opponent. It usually is the fact that tons of other people had to go down and wait for their opponent, and that just adds up continuously. So even though the winners final happens, there's usually a good 2+ hours in the losers bracket. And sometimes the loser of the winners has to wait literally and do nothing for those 2 hours because they're so far advanced compared to everyone else. It sucks. No one likes your losers bracket, especially a European losers bracket. A Korean losers bracket is it's barely anything. You have so many people forfeiting and just lower signups overall that I'm really surprised people forfeit, but they do. But Europe is huge. And I don't blame anyone who forfeits, as long as they tell the admin that that's the case, because that's a huge problem. The lower bracket basically makes 2 tournaments, so that's twice the problems that can happen, twice the admin work, you know, and it's crappy. I joined a game where no one was in it. How did that work? Hopefully they'll get the right map chosen. Huh. Still no invite. Feels a little disappointed. For those of you who have come back in or are just tuning in now and have been watching earlier, Rifkin is not here right now, but should be in the near future. He had to go deposit a check at the bank, and unfortunately this is going to go on past, you know, the banking hours if he had waited till after the tournament was over. And we're going to Korea in like 4 days, so it was pretty important that actually deposit the check now. Okay, the next up's gonna be Frost. One of the players is making the lobby, and it's okay. So there won't be any graphs, but or workers killed count. Oh well. Yeah, I don't think I like honey in my tea. Yeah, turning it to 1v1 is gonna mess up the lobby. Oh well. Yeah, now like it's really like seeped into the tea. So even though there's more tea this time, it just tastes kind of weird. This is the German tea, by the way, that's the mods gave me. Oh, I'm the host now! Because TateTV was almost the other player. Great! I'm gonna make this lobby my bitch. TateTV is the referee. But yeah, that I got in Germany when I was sick at Home Story Cup. I definitely got, like, kind of like heat stroke at Home Story Cup, and then I actually got sick, like, strep throat type deal, which both was not fun. Art, buddy? Art? Art. Okay. Now we're into the second game. Anecdote over. I am still a little sick, by the way, so my voice probably sounds a little bit different. And I'm also trying not to sniffle too much. But it's just it's not that my voice is, like, hurting every time I speak, but it feels tired, you know? Like, I'm not using the full capacity of my vocal cords type deal. And if I did, then it probably would become really sore, so... Yeah, I'm not too much in the mood for downtime talk, but I also don't want to awkwardly sit here and do nothing, so, you know, that's always a conflict. It is game number 2 in this best of 3. In the bottom left, he is up 1. It is the orange Protoss ArT. In the bottom right, as the red Terran, he is Cascades Cass. Or Cass. However you really want to pronounce it, because I don't think I've ever heard him have a preference. I'm sure he says his name one way or another, but I don't think he's ever like been very hung up on it. Not using mobile deposits in 2016. I know I'm behind. I know this is apparently like a thing, and I live in a fairly like hippin' happening place. That's not true. Where did I say that? The point is, I'm not like out in the boonies. An hour out, you'd be out in the boonies where I live, but not here. And I still don't really know or necessarily like feel comfortable with that whole idea of things. I don't know. My parents have, or my mom to be more precise, taught me some very old-fashioned rules of, you know, savings and bank accounts. So, for instance, she always writes in her checkbook, you know, which is just the most annoying thing, but oh well. Because you'll pay for the groceries, and then she'll have to, like, write in the date and where it was, and it always holds up the line a little bit. You know, just a little grievance here and there. And then, of course, she'll try and convince me that it's super important that you keep track of your checkbook, which I'm not saying that it's not. Okay, I think it's a good but old-fashioned rule to have. But most bills are done online, like, most updates to your account are instantaneous. There's very rarely those times where you don't realize that your $50 is not coming in quite yet, and you overdraw or something like that, so... just old-fashioned stuff. The idea of taking a picture and depositing, it's the future! It's happening right now. Wow, the Stalker skin looks really dumb on the production tab. I've not noticed that. I think it looks cool in the game, but on the production tab it kind of looks like... It makes it look like the alien from Independence Day, you know? Like, it's just mostly top-heavy. I see it. I don't know if you guys see it. Anyway, the Reaper is probably going to be, I would say equally as diligent as last game. Remember, Kaz did a very nice job scouting that early game Stargate. That wasn't the problem, it was the follow-up. And unfortunately, past a certain time, past like 4 minutes, it's going to be very difficult to get a follow-up scout because there's too many pylons, there's too many units trying to kill your Reaper. And that's where things really went wrong. So Cass can try and be as careful as he ever can be with the Reaper, but sometimes there just isn't enough. So these Hellions, I kind of like them, not just because they give you a bit of harassment opportunity, you know, they could kill quite a few probes, but also they can, if your goal is to get a scout, they can allow you that scout. Whereas one Reaper might be a little more difficult. But this is really cool by ArT. He didn't have too much to hide, to be honest. Only 2 gateways so far, but it's cool they didn't let him up the ramp. You know, you didn't have to try and chase him down either. Let the Hellions get a couple more shots, and not that many probes went down, only 4. So, not too bad at all. We do have Blink on the way as opposed to Resonating Glaives, War Prism eventually to ArT, of course, realizing that Cass went for a bit of a factory opener, more so than, you know, the triple barracks, right? It probably won't have the biggest bio army, but it's still not enough to, like, instantly counterattack with the Blink Stalker and do damage, I would say. I think that's too late to do that. It's not limiting stalkers. They're spiky. Well, Cass is going to load up his medevac soon enough. They are on the way out. It's going to come up with Stim, and he's getting that extra barracks production he was missing from his opener. Again, like, nothing goes on a minute after you've lost your Hellions, and it doesn't really matter what you opened with. It's probably going to be a-okay. If ArT had been in the mindset to counterattack, been sending his stalkers over, had a slow warping of a proxy pylon, maybe it's you know, a little dangerous, because there's a... I don't know if the bunker was ready quite yet, but it is now. But the point is, didn't happen. Cass would have been a little more prepared than last game with that bunker. And it is just going to be about ArT defending. Now, ArT's going to go for a very quick robotics bay. I would say a couple months ago that this would be disruptor drops, because that's basically the only reason you would go for 2-base robotics bay, and your name was also Puck. But nowadays, we've actually been seeing a lot more people, including the Koreans, go for 2-base Colossus. Like, Hero, for instance, really likes that, which I find very odd, because I'm not too convinced it's that good. But we'll see what ArT actually plans to do here. He might still go for disruptors, but not if the Robo dies. Okay, there we go. That's a pretty nice snipe. That's your observers, that's your other warp prism if the one dies, and of course that is your robotics bay tech coming out of there. So instantly replaces it, but that's a good chunk of time where, again, you're not building some other very key units. Also try to take out as many stalkers as possible, as then Cass realizes that he's gonna lose the medevacs otherwise. So that's actually kind of clever. He forced the stalkers to micro away from the medevacs, and at least got them out, because of course they're more important than the handful of marines that are easily reproduced with reactors and just pure minerals. But the War Prism took the long way around. It is at the natural now. Cass had not invested into a missile turret, which would at least force the Warp Prism to kind of, like, you know, choose to leave the Adepts, or, you know, go even further into the base. Here, just chilled out. I guess there's a bit of a scuffle in the middle of the map. That means the Warp Prism was a little late to picking up units. Okay, there it goes. But not much happened in the middle. It is going to be the Colossus, and again, as far as the time in the Colossus goes, the Robo side wasn't that big of a deal. It was like 30 seconds later after the Robotics Bay finished. But it's the fact that that could have been 1 or 2 more observers. And again, another Warp Prism if this one had died. Everything calmed down for a little bit. You have a 3rd command center on the way for a Terran player. Starting to build a couple of Liberators, but usually the first 2 Liberators are for harassment purposes, and then later on you'll decide if you want to go into, of course, the 2nd starport and Liberator range and all that. Some Terran players do play faster mass Liberators than others, of course. And it is a style, it's a preference, but I don't know what Cass is. The Colossus, of course, 1 Colossus, not that big of a deal. 2 Colossus, a little bit scary. 3 Colossus, you're going to need something to literally counter the Colossus, other than just a good concave. 4 is usually the ideal amount of Colossus in Legacy of the Void. I think in Heart of the Swarm, it was probably 6, but there's a lot of dynamics that changed. Of course, first and foremost, economy, the pacing of the game. PvT, one of the biggest change-ups, I would say. The fact that Protoss gets a much faster 3rd base. But also the Adepts. Adepts having that wall of health has really changed up how you deal with Colossus as well. No one drops on top of Colossus now, I can tell you that much. Maybe Mario in 2018, but not now. And speaking of Adepts, ArT does want a nice wall of them. He also doesn't want to lose all of his entry to a Widow Mine. That was too close. But another Warping of Adepts probably in order, as there aren't that many Liberators and not that many Vikings. The amount of Stalkers he needs doesn't really need to be that high. He just Warping more Stalkers, which is not bad, and you can chase the flying units, but I think that more Adepts would have been a little bit better. He had a big enough army supply in general. This is really just nitpicking. especially with the Guardian Shield and, you know, 2 Colossus. That was a good army, but we'll see that composition develop as time goes on. For Cass, you know, his composition, it is a question of, does he continue building Liberators? Again, some players are just Liberator players, regardless of what their opponent is doing, or is he going to go into Vikings? I think we see a lot more players going into Vikings, because Liberators are, in a way, countered by Colossus. The dynamic is not, you know, 1-to-1. It's not literally Liberators killing the Colossus, or, obviously it's not the Colossus killing Liberators, rather. But that the Liberators, unless you focus fire on the Colossus, don't kill them, right? They're going to kill a bunch of Adepts and stuff like that. And positionally, they have to be static to kill the Colossus. Keeping them in splash mode to kill the Colossus doesn't actually work that well. If that's what you're thinking the Liberators would be used for. No, it's usually Vikings. Vikings, I mean, their benefit is that, of course, they don't have to transform to kill the Colossus. They can move around. They actually have some pretty nice micro potential. And, of course, you can reactor them out without needing an upgrade for them as well, like Liberators need. But the engagement's going to go down. There's only 3 Colossus. That's actually an okay amount. The Viking count is not high enough to kill them quick enough, and they're getting a lot of damage done on this army. There's a lot of Marauders left over, and they're certainly taking a lot of shots, but I think it might just be too much Protoss here. The last couple Colossus aren't dying. These 2 Vikings might be able to get that one. They finally do, but 2 Colossus got so many shots in right there. Looks like the last couple Marauders are going to be able to take this back. Colossus is saved in the Warp Prism, and Cass does hold, and in fact, not too poorly. Those Marauders were living for a very long time. They were very spread out. The Colossus beams weren't even attacking them at some point. They were attacking the reinforcements, and that actually went surprisingly well for Cass after the initial attack looked like he was just taking too much damage. ArT did kind of dedicate to that too, by the way. Lost very important units in the Colossus, of course, only saved 1, but also didn't expand to a 4th base, which around now would be when the Protoss wants to. I mean, they've kind of become the Zerg of the matchup, but they want to be 1 base ahead of the Terran, and he's not. So he didn't even take his gases at his 3rd base. And this is a big problem. He actually doesn't have that good of a response to the mass Marauders that Cass has right now. If there was 2 Immortals in that last engagement, I'm pretty sure Cass is being snowballed on, basically. Oh, no, oh, right. Okay, that's where Liberators look really good against Colossus. But anyways, I think the lack of Immortals and the lack of just, like, something to actually kill the damn Marauders was, of course, the biggest thing about that fight. We have a couple of Adepts going into the natural. Liberators trying to help out, but unfortunately, the positioning isn't really working. But I think that Cass might be able to win this game. Again, no 4th base for ArT to depend on, as his probes have to leave this 3rd base. The 3rd base going down is probably the nail in the coffin. Cass can just lift this base. It really got out of hand. This Colossus is going to go down. I think that's it. ArT doesn't have much else to fall back on. Thank you to Rickapy for the 25-month resub. Sorry I didn't see you guys much at BlizzCon. Well, that's okay. We're doing a bunch of stuff. A lot of people to meet at BlizzCon. And thank you for the wine, alcohol, like whatever it's officially called, that you gave us. Last fight goes down. So many Marauders. Like, this is all Marauders, right? Like, where's the Marines? Tempest would be able to kill this army, but oh, Disruptors also would have probably been a good thing to have, or Immortals. But GG, Cass holds on the defense and just counters to win. That's very, very nice. I think ArT was a little overconfident with his army. I think it was a very good army, but I also think that Cass had a very good engagement with the Concave, so worked out better for Cass. But that's, maybe it would have been better if ArT had just waited, gone for a 4th Colossus, added on the Immortals and Disruptors after the Colossus count was good, and got into a 4th base. I know that as the game goes on, especially on Frost, it's harder to get those 4th and 5ths against a Terran who might drop you. I'd say it's also difficult for the Terran who might get Adepts in their face, but I guess we have Planetaries. But I don't think the if it was a 3-base all-in was the purpose from the get-go for ArT, then choosing a better position to attack into would have been the most important thing of that game. The next lobby should be up soon. Actually, it's the players making it, so that might be a lie. I think it's a lie. Well, just gonna go to a quick break then, as the lobby still has not been started. Thank you all for watching. We're back to game number 3 of this round of 8 match. Alright, welcome back everybody. Unfortunately, we're not quite ready to go. We're literally in the lobby, but Emil has not traded me out for the actual player. But thank you for watching those ads. We're about 3 hours into the cast, and probably have about 4 or 5 more to go. As the winner's bracket is getting all summed up and whatnot, and that's super awesome. The loser's bracket, of course, is going to fall way behind. Speaking of, I guess, the bracket, we did have at least a couple of reports. So Xanster did defeat Rail, or Verdi. Obviously, we're casting ArT versus Cass. Guru is still waiting for his opponent in either Welmu or Yogo, and I think it's going to be Welmu. Yogo's actually not that bad, but Welmu is professional. And then DNS did defeat Fear 2-0, so not actually Zerg dominated, which is great, but still could be a Zerg overall victory in actually every single qualifier. Yeah, because Guru is probably going to do pretty well, and Xanster might do pretty well, so okay then. So, Emil gave Naruto the lobby host, and I think Naruto is probably talking to his stream or something, so he's not paying attention. And now we can't do anything because someone else is the host. So it's probably going to be like 1 or 2 more minutes. Great. Oh, he finally paid attention. There we go. Let's see, in the losers bracket, what else has happened here? Anyone super surprising falling out quite yet? Not really. I mean, Sigling, unfortunately, of course, yeah, he forfeited, but yeah, I'm sure still in it after a very long mech game, apparently. I don't know. Alright, we're in the game. It's going to be on the Galactic Process. And it is game number 3. Oh, it's a best of 3. Let's swap it around. There we go. In the bottom left, as the orange Protoss, he is ArT. In the top right, as the red Terran, he is Cass. Got wrecked and trekked in game number 1 to a all-in follow-up of a Proxy Stargate. Happens to the best of us. Game number 2, ArT attempts another all-in that is not as definitively an all-in. Of course, we talk about all-ins. The actual explanation is it's an all-in until it works, and then a macro game can happen. I think everyone who's watched StarCraft kind of understands that when a caster says that, but whatever. But even beyond that, you would say that 1 base, obviously, sure. 2 base, okay, that can happen. 3 base, can you really call it an all-in? And the answer is yeah. I mean, you saw right there, if ArT's push didn't work, where a expanding Protoss could maybe just warp in at home, try and disengage, try and recover, and then just depend on a 4th base to get him through economically and just barely hold on. ArT could not. He didn't have plan B really set up. You know, we saw him in the midst of the emergency plan where he started making his extra gases and started warping him back home, but he was very dedicated to that attack. He warped into his warp prism offensively to the last, and that was obviously a big deal that led to the eventual counterattack that Koss actually won. So yeah, it was an all-in, and it didn't work. But this guy obviously has a variety of styles. I don't want to say that he's an all-in player, obviously, because he did it twice in 2 different fashions, but he's probably pretty aggressive, you know? Certainly, I don't think you can say this guy is the defend smart play, boring play, okay, I'm good type Protoss that a lot of the most respected Protosses are. This guy obviously likes to do a bit of aggression here and there. And speaking of which, watch the probe go this way and that. Slaps down a pile. This will be on 2 bases. So again, we'll see if it's a Stargate. I think it's got to be a Stargate because if it's a Robo, he has to go around the rocks. Same as the Gateway. It has to be something that actually goes over rocks. Unless he builds a Robo for a Warp Prism, but I don't think that's why you would make it. So a Stargate, at this time, it's surprising, so it should get a lot of kills, but it's also not as potentially devastating. A 1-base proxy Stargate, it kills 10 workers. That's like half the workers right there. Okay, that's devastating. A 2-base Stargate proxy kills 10 workers. It sucks, but it's probably something that the Terran can make up, especially since they're already on their way to, you know, medevac system and whatnot. Although Kaz is actually going for the Cyclone safety build, I would say. Unfortunately, as safe as Cyclones can be, a lot of players are pretty bold with them, especially if their scouting has been good from the Reaper. And usually that's okay. If the Reaper's scouting and they know exactly what's going on, then more power to you to send that Cyclone out and get a couple of free units. If the Reaper scouting is not good, if it dies, if you're not 100% sure of what you've seen, then maybe don't send the Cyclone out. But Cass is sending the Cyclone out and getting an emergency engineering bay because I think he saw something was up. He got into the main base and saw no tech. And that was probably around the time he would see either a Robo or Twilight Council, so he knows that something is up. So this might just be okay. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure what happened there, but it was almost a really clever transfer. Cass, still microing though, gets one of the adepts. And he's gonna run over him here. Almost gets that last adept. The Reaper could probably get the last hit on it before it gets its shields back. It's around the time. Okay, no. Okay, Reaper finally dies. The Oracles are actually being bulked up here. I think ArT is really depending on the fact that Koss is not expecting the Stargate, which I guess he's not. He built the engineering bay, but didn't build any cautionary missile turrets, so maybe that scout in the main base wasn't at the time of the Robo. Maybe it was a little before you'd expect the Robo and he didn't get a secondary scout. That's a pretty big deal. 2 Oracles get into the main base and Koss is immediately pulling. He's probably thinking, God damn it. I had an engineering bay and the Cyclone could have been at home. And instead he loses so many SCVs. 12 SCVs go down. Widow Mine goes down even. Okay, that's not unexpected, but it happened. Another one. He went to SCV. Okay, doesn't get it. Oh, and loses one of the Oracles. That's a pretty big deal. This unfortunately is not a juice, so can't get that last little SCV. So the question is 12 SCVs really devastating? Saving up, bulking up 2 Oracles could be like an entire mineral line, you know, especially if the Terran is distracted pushing with something. But 12 SCVs is about what I expected from just the 1 Oracle being a surprise. Not necessarily 2. I think that Koss is not great. He's at 29 SCVs. Compared to almost 50, but that he might just be able to recover if a drop goes through, you know, a good drop here and there, or a good fight here and there. But it's pretty important that ArT at least had saved one of his Oracles for Revelation. Actually gets a Phoenix too, which is a little bit odd. 1 Phoenix doesn't really help you that much, but it will be able to scout medevac drops to the right, so I guess that's the point of it. We got Blink and +1 on the way. Stim did finish for Koss, but he's not quite getting combat shields. His 3rd base obviously gets finished. That could have been the next target of the Oracles. Would have been, again, very annoying, but at least that's done and almost ready to produce 3 SCVs at a time. This is a Widow Mine drop that he's hoping ArT just won't be ready or paying attention to. Now his missile turrets are up. He can kind of freely leave the base. His only worry at this point would be the Oracle getting his gas geyser SCVs. But unless there's another drop or another attack going in here, I don't think the Widow Mine's gonna do very much. Well, here it goes. He is... Well, he just looked at his natural to warp in that sentry, but oh my god. Oh, Jesus. 11 probes killed to the 12. of costs. There you go. That evens up the workers killed. It's at different points in time, which is pretty important, and ArT is still up 10 workers, which is nice enough, basically, for the Protoss, because you have to count for mules. But that did return the damage almost perfectly. Revelation, no catching the Observer, but catches the Oracle, so no more Revelations to worry about. That's nice. He might see the Observer, but doesn't have a scan. Oh, maybe not. Well, this medevac has one of those Widow Mines, and it is going to the 3rd base, which the Phoenix should just be able to scout. And alerts ArTs. His army's all here. It should not do any damage at the 3rd base. The main base is his next target, but that's where the Mothership Core is. So the medevac is going to go down. The Phoenix helped out the tiniest little bit in the damage there. The game continues. ArT looking to expand in the near future. Definitely got to break down those rocks regardless of your expansion plan. And Kaas is going for a 2nd starport already. I mean, it's a necessity to get a 2nd starport. Whether it's for Vikings against what you assume might be Colossus, or for Liberators against whatever the Protoss army they can get. It's important. And the question, of course, is always, is it a tech lab or another reactor? It looks like it'll be another reactor, so the non-upgraded Liberators, but could be either or. And still be scary. A lot of adepts trying to transfer in here. Upgrade almost done for both parties, I guess, on the armor. But Kaas did sim away from the adepts, so they didn't really get into the heart of the army. And he is able to retreat. Unfortunately, he did not break down his own rocks, so he would have to pick up to save this army, and he's almost out of time to do that. Okay, ArT's not pushing in. Lucky Kaas. Very lucky. Dark Shrine on the way. Resident Glaze finishes up. +1 armor almost done, too, for both parties. Again, kind of timing up pretty evenly there. But ArT is looking for an attack. He is on 3 bases. He has now just gotten his gases. The question is, does he over-dedicate like last game and not have a fallback plan? Now, this army is very different than the last. There's no Colossus, clearly. There's actually Immortals in here, and it's depending a lot more on basically mass adepts. So that should be easier to replenish if things go topsy-turvy for him. Just start warping him back home. But again, if he just keeps on warping in offensively, thinking that he can really make this work, then it could go badly for him. Observer does see the Widow Mine. It was pretty weak anyway. A very odd little bunker here only helps out a tiny bit, but everything can help. Liberator tried to siege up. The Adept's going to go past the Liberators, but kind of also go into them anyway by going into the front. But they do get on top of a lot of those Marauders. The Immortals are chunking through them as well, and the bunkers aren't really holding up enough. Without Widow Mines, without Ghosts, which would be a long way off, the Adept are just too damn powerful. I think there definitely had to be more Widow Mines, but if not more Widow Mines, then more Liberators. Kaas had only just prepared to go into more Liberators. He only just was getting 2 Liberators at a time on his way to 4 Liberators at a time. If there's 6 Liberators there, especially siege up on the ramp, I don't think ArT can push in. But he chose a good time to do so, and does take the 2-1 victory over the Terran player. So that'll send ArT to the semi-final. This will be a qualifying match against Xanster. Top 3 of this tournament get through, get qualified. They have to pay their own way. Some more expensive than others, you know, depending on where they are in Europe. But it is a qualifying round. It's a best of 5. ArT versus Xanster, and DNS versus the winner of Wellmu versus Guru, which is not decided yet. So I assume we will be going into ArT versus Xanster. I'm going to try and get the maps so I can host, because this is beyond them not getting WCS game hard. It's also just them not doing it quick enough. I am the best! Everyone must know that. But seriously, okay, so ArT needs 5 minutes. This is the semifinal, and we should definitely cast it, but unfortunately, it'll be 5 minutes plus whatever time they need to veto. So I might go to an extended break here. Rifkin is on his way back. I think we're just going to keep me observing and streaming, because to do another break in the stream is just, it's really bad for viewership and streaming purposes. We'll see. Alright, see you guys in a few minutes. Thanks for watching, everyone. Perfectly timed. Bye.